but it doesn't really matter. Tuesday, 2:30, awesemo.com golf show. Same as always, myself, Ben Raza, here with Fantasy Golf Man. Tim Frank, we're the same, but that's the only similarity you're going to find because we got a new course. We got a new state. I saw you already taking shots at Michigan. What say you about the Rocket Mortgage?
There's some people are touchy about Detroit. I'll say that. There's some people that were pretty defensive
8 Mile.
about yeah. I just want to throw it. I was born in Detroit. All right. I'm just going to throw that out for all you people that think that I hate Detroit. I just like to make fun of anything possible. So next week when the event is here in my hometown, we can all make fun of the Twin Cities because it's a terrible place too. So
Fair enough. Yeah, obviously it's some good, it's some bad. We got a completely new course, so course history going to be out the window. The event itself is pretty bad, I think, when you look at the field. The Travelers, strong field. It always, even after a major, people show up. Ricky, I think, has to be here. He's on those commercials. You got DJ, but man, does it get bad fast. Obviously, we're going to get right into it, but did you notice that when you looked at the field? It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's horrible. We just have to figure out how many DJ is winning by, if it's like 8 or 10 or how many shots. But yeah, it's not a good field. But we just have these weeks. They can't all be great. So we got to kind of muddle through it. Pricing is gonna, a lot of guys are gonna feel overpriced. We talk about that on a lot of weeks when the field is weaker. Guys at 9,500, and you're used to playing them at like 7,800. So we're just something you have to work through. It's not the end of the world, but just be prepared for some sticker shock for some of these guys.
That's true. Someone like Ches who broke through. I guess it's been so long that his wins should have been deleted. But yeah, good for Ches. Him and Keegan were in, I don't even know what you want to call it, late on Sunday. Did you catch any of the tournament before we get into this? Zach Sucher, where were you on that?
Boy, yeah, Zach Sucher. That was a weird one. He had a couple high finishes on the web.com tour and then a bunch of bad finishes. So he kind of came out of nowhere. But it was nice to see afterwards where he talked about how much just coming in second meant to him and the money and everything that it meant for his career and stuff. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I didn't really watch much of it. I was paying attention. Ches looked like he was leaking oil for a while there. And Keegan, like the putting performance, it's just, that's kind of what we talk about when we talk about putting being so high variance. And a lot of times why I play ball strikers and not putters is every once in a while you get that out of Keegan where it's just like he was making everything. And he's like the last guy you would think that would run hot with the putter. But yeah, good for Ches. Was how many years? Like 11 years in between wins or something ridiculous? I don't even know.
It's crazy. So yeah, it was, my Benyon murdered all potential for me on Friday, but it seemed like a good time, good event. And we move on. It is what it is. Zach Sucher was very cool to see him. Neiman grabbed the top 5 for me. That was very important, and that's really all she wrote. But we're at the Detroit Golf Club here. I'll give real quick. I think the course is pretty standard. I didn't see anything where it's, all right, you're going to need to do this. But what did you make of a course that we're all kind of seeing for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to make too much of it. I know there's a lot of write-ups out there that go into excruciating detail, and a lot of that stuff I just don't know how actionable it is. I remember when they went to WGC in Mexico City and we tried to pick that course apart. We said how short it is, how short it's going to play, it's tight, it's going to be an accuracy course, and it was like exactly the opposite. It was bombs away, bomber's paradise. So yeah, I just don't really get too much into trying to look at the layout and try and guess what it's going to be. The vast majority of courses out there are pretty standard down the middle courses. There's only a couple courses on tour that are at either extreme where it's really a bomber's paradise or it's really a short hitter's track. So, I mean, the vast majority of them are going to be down the middle. We don't know much about this course, so I'm just kind of playing it as, average course. It's about 7,350 yards, par 72. It's a Donald Ross design. He designed Wyndham, was the original designer of Eastlake, although I believe that was redesigned. But yeah, I'm just not making too much of course fit this week. I'm just kind of going as, hey, it's, not trying to pigeonhole myself into one side or the other because we don't know.
No, we don't. And this will be more for tomorrow night's show, but this is, I think, another week stack a couple skill sets on certain teams because maybe we find out this is a putting fest or it's a scramble fest or it's an iron fest. Uh, we're not going to really know. You can look at the course and nothing struck out. There's short par fours, there's long par fours, there's gettable par fives, there's long par fives. The par threes are different distances. It's somewhat tree lined. I think you can clearly be aggressive here, but there are short hitters that I definitely have interest in as well, right next to the Bombers. So that's not going to be a heavy. That's a common question because we've got a new course, and for me, it's just not a big deal this week. I'm playing it pretty straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you could do anything besides that. And I think if you're trying to guess, you're just taking on a lot of risk. And I mean, we've even seen in the past courses that are supposedly short hitter courses. Bombers can do just fine there, and guys like Furyk can do well at long courses. I mean, it's really just trying to get the course fit thing. I think is a mistake this week, and I see a lot of people going into like excruciating detail about some of the course, and it's just I just don't see how that's actionable information. I mean, it's fine to read if but I just don't know how you really put that into play and if it's really worth anything.
It's yeah. I mean, I keep it pretty simple, maybe too simple at times. So I'm not digging in. It's good to get a feel, but all in all, you need to. It's like any other course. I think it's going to be pretty easy. You want to keep it in the fairway, put it on the green, make your putts. That works pretty much anywhere. So
I mean, we can't even come to a consensus on whether course history is
yeah, even when we have it.
predictive. It's like if we can't even figure out whether course history is predictive, I don't know how knowing that there's a bunker that you have to carry at 280 on a particular hole. I don't know what you do with that information. So
I don't do anything with it.
exactly.
What I do know though is this has, and you already said it kind of as a joke, but I'm sure you're somewhat serious. This is all the makings of just a DJ runaway beatdown, St. Jude's, beating up on a garbage field style tournament. He obviously leads the pricing off. He is, what is he? He's $12,000. Then you got Ricky 11-2, Woodland 10-9, and Decky 10-2. DJ's just gonna win, isn't he?
It feels that
It
way.
does.
In the last two finishes, T35 at the US Open, T20 at the Canadian Open, those don't blow your doors off, but it was really the short game that let him down in both of those. He gained 8.5 with the ball striking at the US Open. He gained 9.1 at the Canadian Open. Those are, I mean, even for him, those are really good numbers. Like above his average. So he struck the ball beautifully at those events. Just the short game wasn't up to snuff, and he has a good short game. He's a good putter, so I'm not really worried about it. I think this is a great spot for him. I like events like this where it feels like you can go overweight on DJ, but still leave yourself with some outs. It's like at a major where you have to pick between DJ, Brooks, Rory. It's like there's just so many guys here. I like DJ this week. I'll have plenty of them, and even the non-DJ teams, they give yourself a couple outs. I don't like Fowler. I don't like Woodland. I just feel like if we're paying up, I'm just going all the way up to DJ.
I obviously, because I think I'm contractually obligated to like Ricky more than you. Still, clearly a second to DJ. Woodland, I have no interest in. I know he just won a major, but he's priced sky high based off that. Who knows where he's really at right now in life? He's riding high, I'm sure. And then, I mean, Decky, to me, if you can pair him up with DJ, oh boy, the rest of your lineup is absolute garbage. But I really like both of them. It's hard not to. Decky consistently is churning out good performance. He has not knocked on the door, but what's not to like? So that's probably what I'll work in. I think, these guys are priced like this in every field. Like DJ, it seems like they have a hard 12K cap at this point. So, he's 11, high 11s in majors. Now he's 12K in this. This is, for me, the time to target a top end guy like that.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I feel like the $800 price difference just isn't enough between him and Ricky. Also, I'll second you with Hideki. If I'm not playing DJ, he would be my next choice. Super consistent. Made a ton of cuts in a row. I believe now that Kokrak missed the cut. He is the current made cut. Yeah, we finally got there with Kokrak. Finally.
Did I get paid off? No.
No, of course not.
Of course not.
But yeah, and the ball striking's come back for Hideki. I know it's kind of been up and down. He was really hot around the time of the Masters. Then it cooled off, not bad, but just cooled off a little bit. But then the last two events he's played has been U.S. Open and Memorial. He's averaged +7 with the ball striking in those two events. So yeah, I like him. But yeah, really DJ the primary target for me at the top. Just everything seems to line up, including the ball striking in the last two events where the putter just wasn't good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is DJ. I mean, we know he wins majors. That's a different story. It's not been the best given his talent, but he seems in these weak fields to be. I mean, just look at Vegas. I don't have it in front of me, but his top 5, top 10 odds are ridiculous. Even his win odds, I saw a 5.5 to 1
Yeah.
at first class. That's ridiculous. And I don't even think it's possibly overpriced. It's just the reality of a weak field like this. So it's hard not to have him in your pool. The question is, 35%, what is that even going to do? We'll dig into that tomorrow night, but he's going to be popular, obviously. Working down, this is immediately where we start to see guys that are atypical in terms of the pricing. You got Sneds, Ches, Ryan Moore, Reed, Kisner, and Billy Ho all at 9K. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. This is a weak field, and these guys are going to feel overpriced.
Yeah, it is, but I mean that's just something you're gonna have to get over when you're building lineups
Yeah,
because
you got to play someone.
yeah, you're gonna have to play some of these guys. I don't know if whatever equation they use to come up with Spieth's price on a weekly basis, they just plugged Snedeker in there this week because I have no idea how he got to be 9,900 coming off of two not very good finishes. So yeah, he would be a complete mark off for me as one of probably the most overpriced players in the field. I like Ryan Moore at 9,500. The price definitely seems steep, but he was good last week. T15 gained 4.1 with the approach. He was T33 at Memorial. He gained 3.6 with the approach. Has a good track record of Wyndham, which Donald Ross designed. 9,500 steep, even when you go DJ and Ryan Moore. Doesn't leave you with much, but I think out of all these guys, I like Moore the best. And then I'd go down to Horschel at flat 9. He's just been playing good. One miscut since last year's Canadian Open, so it's like a full calendar year. Averaging over 6 strokes with a ball strike in his last 3 events, so he's striking it really well. So I guess he'd be my second favorite. This is a tough range. The guys do seem overpriced, especially if you're trying to match them with DJ.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar to you. Billy Ho is the guy Chat mentioned him already, and I get it. The ball striking has really been there. And the other thing to like, you mentioned Keegan getting hot with the putter. Billy Ho's not, he's certainly not an awful putter. He's not an elite putter either. But one thing I like about him, he gets occasionally crazy hot with the putter, and that correlates obviously to some of the upside. We saw a run earlier this year, 3 out of 5 tournaments, he gained 5+ strokes putting. He can do that in spurts. So you always have that out with him. To me, the one other guy, Kisner, is starting to strike it a little better. I think he's had a couple courses that weren't great for him, and he fought through it. The results don't, jump off the page. But if he can get it going, obviously he needs to rely on a putter a little more than most guys. But I think I was pretty encouraged with what he did at Travelers. He looked better than we've seen him most of the year.
Yeah, for sure. Played well last week. I had a guy hit me up on Twitter that says he's played this course a couple times and he's picking Kisner. So there you go.
Put it on the lock board.
Spartan Dog says that Kisner's the winner this week.
Kiz Nation. Yeah, I mean, I have no clue how this course will fit his game, but I don't think it's a prerequisite that you're long, which is step one with someone like Kisner.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be really an outlier course where it's just bombs away for you to have to write off Kisner, and I just don't think that that's going to happen. So, I mean, there's very few courses where you're going to say, "Wow, we can't play Kisner because he just doesn't have the length." So it would have to be a crazy course for that to be the case, and I don't think that's what we're going to see this week.
Definitely not. Well, I mean, there's no going back now because Joaquin Niemann is 8,900. All it took was a couple flashes for our favorite Chilean to be back in business. He leads off the 8K range. Sanjay and Bubba, who's like 8,700 in majors. That was a weird price to me. Thought he'd be higher. Streelman, Bad Rory, Rory Sabatini, Hovland, Kokrak, Wise, a lot of guys in the 8K range. Anything stand out?
Yeah, I think Neiman will be popular just because
Oh yeah,
people have liked him for a long time, and he was playing better, and then it kind of culminated last week in the T5. Um, I don't have any problems with him because the ball striking has been good, not great, but good. But I just think he'll be pretty popular because people like him. They're looking for reasons to play him. Um, Going down, but Streelman's interesting to me because he's been so good with the ball striking until last week. He was really kind of break even with the ball striking and did everything with the putter and around the green, and he finished T15. So I don't know. It's kind of maybe a red flag for me that he didn't gain his usual 5 strokes with the ball striking. Kind of had to rely on the putter, rely on the green, around the green, I should say. So that's a little scary for me at 8,600 because I think he'll be popular because he was fairly popular last week. He paid people off of the T15. I think people will probably go back to him. Um, I'm just a little concerned that it was kind of fluky. But I like Hovland. I'm like on board with this dude. The ball striking, he's like right up my alley. Just gains a ton of strokes off the tee, ton of strokes on approach, and then just total horseshit on and around the green. But yeah, like sign me up for some Victor Hovland at 8,400
best Norwegian golfer I've ever seen.
for sure.
You know, Hovland, I will say, I think last week was I don't want to say easy fade, but we knew he was going to steam. He wasn't great, and I think that's a good thing for him this week. It'll cool the masses. They'll move on to someone like Neiman, and I'll probably have more Hovland this week than I did last week. He's a good player. I don't love the price, but at the same time, if we get ownership that I'm comfortable with, I'll probably get over. What I have to ask you about Bubba though. I mean, what do you think about that? I know he's not playing well.
I mean, we can only play Bubba at Bubba courses. We have to know it's a Bubba course, like
He has to win, and
Riviera.
then he'll win 6 more times at the same course.
Yeah, it's like Riviera, Augusta, Travelers. Like I don't know. This isn't a Bubba course because we don't know. So yeah, I'm staying away from him. T54 cut, T63 cut. I mean, those are his last 4 starts. It's like yeah, I don't see it with Bubba this week.
Fair enough. Sunjay, obviously he had a rough go of it. Looks like he's starting to find form, but I will caution people who are not dug in. He has gained a ton of strokes putting the last couple weeks. So the results look better. A lot of that has to do, he's gained 5.5 strokes putting 2 straight weeks. That's somewhat of a red flag with him. I don't really have a strong take on him. Do you?
No, not really. I
Okay.
don't think I'll be going there this week.
I got the guy though. The 8K, my favorite guy is definitely Aaron Wise. I really like him this week. I think this course sets up perfectly for him. He can pull driver if he wants, which he likes to do. Gained four strokes with the approach at the U.S. Open. The putting has actually been pretty bad, which I like because I don't consider him a bad putter. I think it's trending upward for him in this spot. It feels like a buy low situation. Ownership shouldn't be there, and he's after a slow start this year. He's playing a little better.
Yeah, boy, man, I was on him for about 4 or 5 starts in a row, and he just never quite got there.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, and I'm jumping off. I don't have a problem with him this week. I just haven't played him the last couple events. I mean, I thought he was going to peak and break through, maybe 4, 5, 6 starts ago, and it just never quite happened. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind Wise. I don't think I'll be playing him this week. I think Tway's interesting. He was T5 last week.
A lot of putting, but yeah,
A lot of putting. Yeah, that's the problem. Is he kind of has been doing a lot of putting. Um, and also going to the 8K, I think at 8K flat, Duffner, I really like him. He's
Duff
had
Daddy.
some really good ball striking performances. Gained 3 strokes at the U.S. Open, which wasn't great. He was T35, but I mean, gained 10 strokes at Memorial. Gained 8.7 at Wells Fargo, 3.9 at Harbor Town. I mean, he's been inconsistent. There's some bad performances mixed in there. But he's had some in his last 6 or 7 starts, some pretty elite ball striking performances, and I like him. I don't think 8K. I think that's a good price for him this week.
You better hope he doesn't have a 2-footer that he needs. It could take him.
Yeah,
That
there's
guy.
that too. But look at Keegan. He's going to be inspired by Keegan last week.
It's true. If you see Keegan do it, that means anybody can do it.
Anyone can do it.
Duffner, obviously, we know he's a major winner. He's a great ball striker. He's a awful putter. I'll probably look to him. I think he fits certain types of teams that I'm looking to build. He's someone that I put in a specific type of bucket, and I think that could be a pertinent skill set for him if he can really just kind of do what he does. He's not going to be intimidated by the course. Maybe make some putts. You're going to need to putt here. I think the scores are going to be pretty low. The wind looks calm. I don't see any reason why it's going to pose any serious threat to these guys. Oh boy. Man, it just keeps getting worse, and we're only in the sevens. So kicking off the sevens, we've got Benyon, KH Lee, CH3. There's some names though. Charlie Hoffman, Kyle Stanley types. You're gonna need some of these guys, especially if you play DJ. They might be your, third guy in, something like that. I think there's some playable guys. Is there one guy or a handful that kind of popped off for you?
Yeah, I actually think there's kind of quite a few guys in this mid seven range.
Okay.
Stanley, the ball striking looks like it's coming back with him. He's at 7,700. Gained 2.5 last week at Travelers. Wasn't great, but gained 5 with the ball striking at the U.S. Open. So him, if he's kind of on his way back, it could be a relatively buy low spot for him. Watney, his ball striking has been very good. A little hit or miss, but he's had some elite ball striking performances, just like Duffner. Um, JJ Spawn. I mean, it doesn't take much to get me back on him, and I think last week where he gained 5 with the approach, I think that's it. I don't. I mean, what I know you love Spawn as well, but
Oh,
it's like I'm looking for any reason to play this guy, and last week the irons were on, and like that's it. That's all I needed.
and just so chat knows, I assume you don't have chat open, so you're just that good. Spawn was just mentioned, and I said I loved him. I typed that in. I'm with you. It doesn't take much. I think JJ Spawn is a golfer that I don't want to say injuries have permanently derailed him by any stretch, but every time it seems like he gets some real momentum, he gets hurt, and that stifled him a couple times. It seems like he's starting to be healthy. That was his best ball striking going back to like Shriners. It's been a while. So this is a guy, obviously another person. Long course. I have some concerns. This is not that. He should be just fine here. And I think JJ Spawn would be a much better golfer just in people's minds overall if he had some consistent form without getting hurt.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we've seen him string together really like elite level ball striking performances. And you look at maybe your year-long stats, you look at a long sample size, and like you said, yeah, there's been injuries, he's been inconsistent, and that's all going to be reflected in his stats, or they don't look that great. But I mean, I just know from following him week in and week out, some really good performances we've seen out of him, more than a couple times. I mean, he's got it in him, so I like him at 7,400. I skipped over my favorite play too. Your boy Malnati.
How good was he? That guy is just a stud. He gets it done every week.
I really like him this week. He was good with the ball striking again last week. I mean, he's not a guy that's going to sit. He's not, Luke List. He's not going to gain 8 or 10 strokes with the ball striking. If he gains 3, 4, 5 strokes with the ball striking, that's kind of all he needs. You mentioned how good of a putter he is. I kind of did a deep dive on that. I mean, so last year or this year, 20th strokes gained putting. Last year he was 8th, 20th, and 14th. So every year on tour, the guy's been a top 20 putter. So he's legitimately a good putter. I think we can kind of concede that or give that to him. And his last 4 or 5 events, he's been making the cut. He's been striking the ball well, and he hasn't been putting poorly, but he's just kind of been right around a break-even putter, which for him isn't that good. I mean, he gains about a half a stroke per round putting. So I mean, I think he's got some positive regression coming. I mean, he's got a +6 or a +8 stroke putting event in him somewhere, because he is a very good putter. And if the ball striking stays good, maybe he throws in one of these good putting rounds or putting events, and we might be in business. I think 7,500 is a really good price.
So that's what I kind of wanted to talk about. Malnati last week, if you played him, you look, everything was good. I actually thought you got a pretty raw deal, because if you would have told me he would have struck it that well, I would have said he's on the verge of, bashing the top 10. He lost a half a stroke putting, which you look and you say no big deal. For a guy like that, that's really atypical, honestly. He is a consistently good putter. He had gained in 10 straight events positive strokes putting. So that was as bad as you really are going to see. If that returns, and I expect it will very shortly, if he keeps up this ball striking, he's going to be in play going forward, and it's awesome to see because I really like Peter Malnati in life.
Yeah,
What a
I
ball!
mean, an average 4 rounds, like an average event for him, would be to gain 2 strokes putting. That would be average. So that's really good. I mean, we're looking at like a 4 or 5 year sample size out of him. So it's not a small sample size for him to just break even on and putting for an event. That's actually kind of a poor event for him because that's how good he is with the flat stick. And yeah, and he hasn't struck the ball like this. I don't think at all during his career. I mean, he's almost lived with the putter. So the ball striking has improved and it's been consistent. And now we just need one of those big putting events out of him.
Yeah, I was just looking at Benny Ons to see if he's ever gained 2 strokes putting an event.
Probably
Uh,
not.
that's few and far between. Any Chad asked, any love for KH Lee? I don't have a strong take. I thought he was a little high priced. He got it done around the green last week. It was kind of a weird performance. I don't have a strong stance on him. Do you?
No, I mean, I kind of always like him because he feels like a Corey Connors type
You
where
discovered him too.
I
That
discovered him. Yes, I discovered him the first. No, he's the guy. He's going to be inconsistent, but it feels like every so often he's just gonna just get new caught with the irons and strike the ball like out of this world, and that happens from time to time. The same thing with Connors, inconsistent, but then he had that Valero Texas Open where it was like gained like 18 strokes with the ball striking and was amazing. So I don't love him at 7,900. There's a lot of other guys I prefer to him, but would it shock me for him to come out and just light it up? No, not at all, because we've seen him do that a couple times this year.
fair enough.
But
Yeah,
7,900, it's like that's a little spendy for how inconsistent he is. I mean, when you have Benny on at this exact same price.
I'm not. Yeah, that's the problem. There's an opportunity cost. Charlie Hoffman is there. There are other guys that I don't think anyone checks out across the board in a field like this. There's other guys that I have prioritized though. What about your boy Matthew Wolf, the Wolf Man? Any interest in? I wouldn't say going back to him because I'm assuming you were never on him.
Yeah, that was a nice T80 last week. That was
The
really
old he got some rest. He got MDF'd.
really solid in his first event as a pro. Now,
He's
I don't
yeah.
think I'm going there. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, probably taking a wait and see approach with most of these guys, and he wasn't that good last week. I don't see any reason to go to him this week.
No, I'll say this. He's the flat min on Yahoo. That's way more interesting to me than 7,500 on DraftKings. So we know he's talented. It may take a while. Hovland seems to be in a better place, and he's different price, so that's kind of irrelevant. Ben, God, Cam Smith. Is there anyone else before we? I mean, I would say before we get egregious, we've already been on the fringe egregious train here.
Um, Max Homa at 7,300. He's been striking the ball
Dear
real good.
God.
He missed the cut last week, but he struck it good. The short game was just awful. Lost 1.8 putting in the 2 rounds, but was positive with the ball striking. Yeah, I don't mind him. He's kind of in the Malnati boat, except he can't putt. So, but we're talking.
It's an interesting boat.
He's the elite putter boat, but you can't putt. But no, I mean, just decent ball striking over about a 4 or 5 event sample size, where he's been positive over almost every event. 1, 2, 3 strokes ball striking. But yeah, I think we've named enough guys between Spawn, Malnati, Stanley. I think there's quite a few plays in this range.
I didn't even name Russell Henley. I took mercy on chat and myself. It's not happening these days.
You're still gonna play him though. You just didn't tout him.
That's true. He did lose 4 strokes putting last week. I will have not a lot because he's just not good anymore. Boy, you look down at the low end 7K range. I really don't see a lot, to be honest. There's guys like Austin Cook, Fratelli, who was bad last week. Sam Burns is kind of interesting, but we're immediately thrown into you're going to have to either look for one specific skill set or look at some type of narrative because you're not going to find a lot of guys who are playing well and are striking the ball well and fit what we think this course is going to do.
Yeah. So there's two guys right at 7K. They both MDF last week, Merritt and Tringali, who, they weren't good last week, obviously, because they MDF'd. But going into last week, they had been playing well, have had some decent ball striking performances. I don't mind going back to them, even though they weren't great last week. I think, try not to make too much out of one event. They were solid leading into the Travelers, and they made the cut, but they weren't good on Saturday. Um, they didn't suck out like Grillo did on multiple occasions. That was amazing. I forgot to
That
talk about.
man he killed. I want to go to Wyndham Clark. That's a guy that I like. His stats from last week, and I know it's just 1 week, but it's coming off of a stretch. He missed 4 cuts in a row. Then he came in 15th last week. He gained 2 strokes putting. He gained 6.5 strokes around the green. That's about it.
That
So
sounds sustainable. I think he could do that again.
yeah, it's not a good situation. So I don't know what to do there. I look, and there's just not a lot to like in this range. Even Austin Cook was a guy I tried to be sneaky and jump on last week, and just another very blah performance. So this is a range that, to me, honestly, when we dip a little lower in a couple minutes, there's some guys in the high sixes that I actually like a little more than this low 7 range. There's really not a ton here. One last guy I want to ask you about. We may have never talked about this guy, Steven Yeager. 3 straight pretty good showings. 17th, 14th, 30th at Travelers. The stats are all over the place. He's not doing it consistently with anything, but he's playing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean he didn't pop out for me when I looked at
Yeah,
approach or ball striking.
probably not.
To me that tells me that either he's been doing it with putting or around the green. There's other guys. Yeah, I would prefer Merritt or Tringali, or just going up a little bit to Homa Spawn. Those guys, I not much interest in Jaeger. I mean, has he contended ever on the PGA Tour? I don't know.
No,
He seems like a guy that literally just never.
I think he has a 58.
That was on the web.com
Yeah.
tour. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that doesn't count. I mean, I'm sorry. That was on the Corn Ferry tour. I
Corn Ferry.
apologize. Yeah.
58's that's a dangerous game. So it's amazing. I think I use that guy more often than I would, just because I'm like, oh well, we know he can go low because he shot 58 and he just shoots not 58.
It'll be like the year like 2035, and we'll still be playing Steven Yeager because he shot a 58 in the 2016 Corn Ferry tour.
Dear God. God, Chad's asking, friend of the show, asking about Alex Prue, another guy who 2 straight good starts. He does it all off the tee.
Uh, I don't like him this week because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I feel like he was somehow good putting. But I've always liked Prue. He's been a really good ball striker for, I don't know how long has he been on tour, last 2 years, or maybe it's just this year. But I mean, really good ball striking in general. I don't know. Do you have his
What he did
strokes?
last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he gained 2 strokes putting,
Okay.
2.5 around the green, and a couple off the tee. His irons were not good. Nothing
Yeah.
out of, like, not Wyndham Clark disturbing, but
I mean,
not
Alex
exactly.
Prue's game would be to gain like 6 strokes with the ball striking and then to lose 6 strokes putting. I mean, that's like your average event out of him. But yeah, he's a guy that I've actually played quite a bit because good cheap ball striking, but just horrible short game.
It's one of those weeks. You're going to have to take a couple of these guys. You just don't fall into the rabbit hole of taking 20 of them, because that's a recipe for disaster. Try to whittle it down, hone in, and get some real leverage. You're not going to need much to get over, but you do want to be cognizant where you go this week. Before we dig into the real egregious people, I do want to just quickly say, if you haven't signed up, you should come give us a try. We still have one major left. Obviously, we got the FedEx Cup. Then we take like a 2-week break and it starts all over. So you're never really out of it. You can use the promo code JazzRaz. You get half off the first month. We got projections. We got articles. We got Tim's one-on-one tutoring, which you can't put a price on. We got everything you want in Slack, all sports. It's a good time, but there's that.
I'm holding office hours from 2:30 a.m.
Hey,
to 3 a.m.
right after Tim gets back from the bar, he it's only Periscope though. He logs on and does this thing. My God, you know who's going to be on teams of mine? It is another one of your boys, Sep Straka. Now he better have shown up in your ball striking stats.
It's amazing. I mean, this guy
What a boss!
cannot putt, can he? Is it just like he's like Benny
That's
on?
an understatement. Awful.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to play him, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's not going to work, but we have to do it. We got
Yeah,
it.
because I mean, he consistently good, except just can't putt. But I mean, eventually one of these weeks he'll just break even with the putter, and we'll be in business. But yeah, I like him. I mean, I think he'll be relatively popular. I don't think it'd be like hard chalk, but people are pretty hip to Sepp Straka's game at this point, and for 6,900, I think he brings some really good approach numbers to the game. But oof,
If you look at any ball striking metrics, you're gonna come across his name. Like he's as dialed in as anyone down here. He's as dialed in basically as anyone playing right now. He's losing 5 strokes putting every week.
that is egregious. So that's so bad too. God.
It's not good. I do think if, and there is a chance, I don't want to say he's chalk, but he's not going to be unpopular. You have one offs with Trey Mullinax and JT Poston, who are two guys. I know they're not playing great. I still think it's in there. I think this is the type of field they can be just fine, especially Mullinax. He's long. He can be aggressive. We know he can go low. I think he's more apt to really compete in a tournament where the winning score is closer to 20 under than 10 under. I think he has that in him. We've seen him kind of, get after it at places, St. Jude, things like that, where you can go kind of crazy.
So I have to mention a guy that's not even in the player pool right now.
Wow, that's bold.
But so DK's been adding guys that are like late entrants. Am I right? That's something new. Like so Taylor Gooch just got in the event today because of a withdrawal, and he led the Canadian Open in strokes gain approach. He's another guy we've seen can get absolutely unconscious with the irons. I don't know if DK adds him or not, but if they put him in the player pool, he'll be cheap, and I will be playing him. So I just want to get that out there into the world on record. And DraftKings used to not add these guys that were late entrants due to withdrawals, but the last few weeks I believe they have. I've been getting emails. So I don't know if they're adding him or not, but if they do, I think he'll be cheap, and I'll definitely be playing him. So
Yeah, he's
you're
definitely
only
going
going
to
to
be
get
owned.
that here. You're not going to hear this on other tout shows at all.
That is, chat just mentioned that. It's a bad week when we're talking about people not even in the pool.
I'm grasping. Like, it would make the whole week work if they put Taylor Gooch in the pool and he was like 6,300. I would just boom. We got
plug it in, and hopefully, as I said to you earlier, if 4 or 5 guys withdraw, Bill Haas gets in. So we
that
got
would be bad for you though.
that would be expensive. Taylor Gooch, yeah, I mean, you said it. I know that's a guy you really like. He can get crazy hot with the irons. Looking down, God, I mean, there's
Don't
not a
do
lot.
it.
Hank Labodia, another one of your projects, is playing pretty well. What do you think? I was going to say Cam Champ.
No, I can't. No, I don't even want to be known as the Hank Laboida whisperer. So.
God, I mean, there's just so little to like. Andrew Landry is 6,800. This is a guy, last week actually played a lot better than he finished. Gained 2.5 strokes off the tee, 3 on the approach, lost 4 putting.
My kind of guy.
That's encouraging, but it's still been a very rough stretch of golf. Streb is kind of the same way, just showing some signs, but how much can we really trust these guys?
Yeah, Streb, 2 decent finishes in a row. And I mean, you have to go back a long way, but he's had stretches of playing well. And at this point, it's probably about 3 years ago.
I
And
played
the only
Streb
guy
at
that really
majors.
stuck out to me was Ryder at 6,600. Nothing really great if you're looking at the form line, but the ball striking was positive. Gained 2.9 at the Travelers and 2.3 at Memorial. I mean, those numbers are not going to blow you away by any stretch of the means. But, down here, just to get anybody with 2 positive ball striking events in a row, for 6,600, I like. Because, I mean, you look at the stats of the guys down here, and everything's negative. I mean, everybody's bad. So I mean, two decent showings out of Sam Ryder at 6,600. So I don't mind him, but really, he was about the only guy that stuck out to me at all.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest problem I have with Sam Ryder is I confuse him and Sam Burns, so I just have trouble talking about them.
Sam Burns is probably the guy that'll actually win a couple times on the PGA Tour, and Sam Ryder, I don't think will do anything.
I'm just looking at some of these stats. We have some friends of the show that absolutely love Sang-Moon Bae in life. He gained a tidy 9 strokes putting last week. I don't think that's what I'm really looking for. Dare I say Cam Davis has made 2 out of 3 cuts, but again, my goal is to not have to go this low. I don't see a ton here. I think you're really grasping at straws. Like you said, no matter what you really look at, you're going to see negative strokes gained. These guys are missing a ton of cuts. It's the bottom barrel. FedEx, the only narrative you can go with, a ton of these guys need a good showing because it's getting late in the season. They need those FedEx Cup points.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that, but it is.
There's a reason they need them, though.
Yeah, because they're terrible.
Yeah, it's not good. Did
Oh,
you
Teeter at 6,400. Three made cuts in a row. There you go. There's another one for you.
Harkins is down here. My God.
He always is.
Boy. Hold on. Let me check in on last guy, and then I just want to make sure that Anders Albertson. No, he didn't. He still has not really done anything in months. So,
but hey, that Sanderson Farms performance 6 months ago is.
It left a lasting impression in my mind.
If you take that out of his numbers, I believe he's probably the worst player on tour. But you add that in, and he's like, oh, he's pretty decent on approach. But
man, there was a time in life where you used to say that Richie Rowinski was going to really do some things, and
yeah,
going on hard times.
You got to know when to get off of these guys, though. Too, you can't. Yeah, he was. I mean, last year he was good. I put him in the same boat as Connors. Is really good ball striking, very inconsistent. But yeah, I don't know what happened to him. Really has fallen off. We haven't seen those really good ball striking performances out of him. So yeah, I can't get behind him.
I'm with you. I really don't see much down here. Obviously, we'll do some digging tomorrow night. We talk about all these egregious guys more in depth. I just think all in all, you want to try to stay out of the real bad ranges if you can. Did you bet anyone?
Oh yeah, I got the winner. I actually think I have probably the 2 guys that are going to meet in a playoff this week.
Oh, wow, you should. Why don't you do the exacta box? There you go.
Yeah, I might do that too. No, I like Spawn. You can get him 90 to 1, 100 to 1. He's just a guy I've been waiting. I think a lot of people have been waiting for him to win, and it was only one event last week, but we saw really good approach numbers out of him. And that's really all that I needed to see because he can get very hot with the ball striking. I've just been a fan of him. And I love Malnati. He's 100 to 1. And I think we really outlined why we like him. The ball striking is much improved. The putter's just been okay, and he's a very good putter. So, I mean, it's not a stretch to think that he gets really hot with the putter one of these weeks. And if that ball striking stays as good as it's been, yeah, he'll be in business for sure. So, I like Malnati.
Those are quality fire picks. I have 2 guys that I have placed wagers on already, a little shorter prices, but still, up there. I got Wise at 50 to 1. As I said, he's won before. I think he's playing better than he's scored. And I just think that talent-wise, he's towards the top half. And then Charlie Hoffman, 60-ish range. Another guy that when he gets going, he can go low. He can play weak field events. I think he's got some upside. I worry about the missed cuts, but when you're talking about outrights, that's more of a DFS concern. So we don't care about that. Honestly, though, I mean, step one is if DJ doesn't win, because I think we all acknowledge he has a large amount of the win equity in this entire tournament.
It'd be it's interesting. They should have contests. DK should have contests without DJ. He's just not in the player pool.
That would be awesome.
I think it would save. Yeah, it would make things easier. I don't know. You just don't have to worry about it. Like it's just let's not go there. That'd
without Henley, for me, I'd be rolling in cash.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I looked at the outright markets, even the head-to-heads. I didn't see a ton. I am waiting. I wanted to see. Probably gonna take a stance against Gary Woodland pretty heavily in all forms, DFS, betting. Uh, I haven't looked at anything just yet, but he's just a guy I think is not overpriced. I just don't like the spot for him when all is said and done. I think Decky, DJ, even Ricky for me are all priorities over a guy like that this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is overpriced because it's not, he wasn't great going into the US Open. It wasn't like we saw
The
five
build up.
straight top tens out of him and then he won, and it's like, oh my God, he's just on another level now. I mean, he was okay and obviously great at the US Open, but I'm surprised that he's 12-1 and 10-9 just coming off a win. Yeah, that seems overpriced to me. And you got to think coming off winning your first major, there's going to be some hangover off of that too.
That's kind of my thing. It's a weird spot, and he's overpriced. And I honestly like him more probably in DraftKings than I do in betting. I don't see him matching up to the other elite guys up there. But hey, we did it. We talked Rocket Mortgage Classic. It's first time we've ever done that, and possibly the last time if Detroit doesn't hold its end of the bargain.
I can't talk any more shit about Detroit, or else I'm gonna get hate tweets at me.
Yeah. It's good that you put it out there that you're a native. What are you, a
Somewhat. I was
Detroitan?
born there. I'm not. That's all. I'm just gonna say
You
that.
bleed Red Wings. What can you say?
Yeah, yeah. Go Tigers. Go Pistons. No,
Go Lions.
no. There's a soft spot in my heart for Detroit. For everyone out there that was
Go
mad at me
blue.
about the
I
tweets.
like Michigan. I have a giant Michigan blanket right off camera. None of you can see it. So there we go. All right. Well, we're going to bounce on out of here. Obviously, as we always say, chat, if you can hit the like button, you're always in great form. We appreciate it. You make the show that much better. And if you have nothing to do tomorrow night, come back. That show's a little rowdier. I'm not going to lie. Wednesday night, me and Jason Roslin answering all your questions, talking more egregious golfers, lineup construction, and weather. We'll see where we go, obviously. And then we get another tournament in Tim's backyard next week. So good luck, everyone. Thanks for stopping by, and we will see you tomorrow night.